Man, what a beautiful -1°C day. I think I'm gonna take advantage of my Game Boy on such a fine occasion. Hello everybody! Today we're going to be taking a look at Game & Watch Gallery 2, released on November 20th, 1998 as a multi-platform launch title for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color systems in North America. So, Game & Watch Gallery 2. Was there ever a 1? Well, I mean, yeah, obviously. Why the hell would it be called 2 if there wasn't a 1? Don't you fucking mention that. Alright, if you aren't familiar with the Game & Watch name like someone playing Melee back in the day would be, let me tell you. There were these things called calculators, and if you were so bored, you might just start playing on one. But not cool ones like these. Well, Mr. Yokoi thought to put an end to this while also working for a game/toy company called Nintendo at the time. And thus, he created the D-pad. Oh yeah, and I guess also the handheld LCD game series called Game & Watch that ran from 1980 to 1991, then one in 2010, and two more in 2020 and 2021. But that's not that important, I think. Well, yeah, anyways, this game is one of the compilations of these little guys put into one nice little package with enhancements for the Game Boy. Developed by Tose, and published by Nintendo, this series of games is one that I miss. I played a lot of this one on the 3DS Virtual Console when that released, and I have 4's cartridge, 4 being the last one as of right now. These are really forgotten about games, seeing as people just don't really know or remember Game & Watches. To be fair, I first learned from Brawl. But yeah, without further ado, let's view the gallery. Now, let me get something off my chest. Holy shit. They woke up and decided, you know what? Let's just make the greatest handheld chiptunes of the decade. Christ, I love the soundtracks for these games. Seems only fair to start in the music room. First, let's talk presentation. This game is gorgeous for Game Boy, really showing off the power of the then new color. However, throughout the video, the version I'll be using is the Super Game Boy one, but I definitely prefer the Game Boy Color palette. Also, yeah, this game does have Super Game Boy enhancements, so that's cool, even down to changing the elements to fit your platform. But yeah, the music room. Listen to all the songs you hear in game, really nice. I like how they add different characters in depending on the sound channel voices being used. But Peach never actually gets a break though. Also, I'm just gonna let you know, all the extras are stored in the gallery corner. Next, we'll be checking out what's posted on the noteboard. Here is where you can get hints and info on things in the game. Toad is the one who rummages through your mail and reads the messages to you. And Mario sits and breaks the fourth wall while he watches him commit these crimes. Your new messages show up on top, and then they get stored on the bottom where it says store. Basically, this is just for explaining things that you might not understand. Now let's cover the museum. This is a neat feature. Say, for example, you don't know what these are, or you're wondering what the others you don't have access to are like. You can read up on them and watch them in action. This last blank option in the corner is where the present appears. The better you do in games, the more stars you unlock. Getting certain intervals of stars grants you access to more museum pieces, versions of a certain game, and an unlockable game. With the corner sorted out, let's play some games. At the top of our list resides Parachute. Now for reference, Game & Watches are cleverly designed, simplistic, endless minigames aimed to keep you engaged in order to cure boredom. Parachute has you trying to catch skydivers from a helicopter over water for some reason. Don't drop them lest you wish to bear the guilt of a man's death. Periodically, for each set interval of 100, the difficulty ramps up. After you break past 100 each time, it slows back down and restarts the cycle. On the harder difficulty, aka Game B, the man on the right will sometimes get stuck on the tree, and randomly falls. You know, it kinda messes with the flow of things. But pretty much, this is your set standard for Game & Watch games. The modern version here helps things flow a lot smoother. Each character has their own properties, with Toad falling the slowest, and Donkey Kong Jr. the fastest. Instead of a tree, Toads will now randomly fly into a cannon, and they shoot back out. Most of my ratings will be further focused on the modern version, seeing as they're almost always better than the originals. Next, we have my favorite, Helmet. Helmet is a game where you help people rocking a hard hat get from a condo on the left to a shed on the right, whilst avoiding a barrage of tools sent down from heaven to smite said construction workers. What did they do? Hell if I know. There's an asshole door that's randomly opened and randomly closed. On Game B, the door is far more sporadic. Also, you die the second a tool appears above your head. I think the hit detection kinda sucks. Since you can't really see the tools gradually falling, it's sort of a guessing game as when they're gonna come down and fuck your shit up. In modern mode, you have a lot more lenience, but it's at the cost of faster tools and enemies which are now appropriately being dealt by a hammer bro. There's also an added P-switch now. It spawns coins for extra points in random spots. I believe if you pick up 3, Mario or Wario starts to move a bit slower, but don't quote me on that. However, Modern Helmet is great. It's a multi-level minigame with 3 landscapes you end up going through. You also meet a fly guy who sometimes uses cannons, and enter Bowser's castle, presumably. The gameplay is very smooth, and especially fun on very hard. Yeah, hi, what's very hard? Well, I'm so glad you didn't ask. Very hard is the difficulty you unlock for getting 1,000 points in either difficulty and modern. We can assume that classic mode was supposed to get it as well from the sprite, but if you played a Game & Watch on Game B, it's kinda hard to make it harder without it being unfair, so that's my guess for the scrap. Also, oh fuck, I died. Well, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity to discuss interrupt saves. Say for example, you're in this heated game of Modern Helmet and you're just like, aw man, I need to take a break, this is just too much to handle right now. So you just pause and turn off the system, and once you boot it back up, you resume right where you left off. Now isn't that such a cool feature? In a time where saves were scarce, they had your back. You're 20 points away from a star, but the street lights aren't bright enough in the car. You wait until you get home and play under a lamp. Losers. Thank God I had the GBASP. Yeah. Next is Chef. Chef is a game where you help a chef prepare some food. Unfortunately, it seems he's bitten off more than he can chew. Save the food before they hit the ground by bouncing them back up off the frying pan. Game A has you dealing with only 3, Game B includes a 4th. There's also this cat on the left that sometimes catches a piece on his fork. He doesn't eat it, nor does he catch the mouse that resides right here. Lazy bastard. Modern Chef is a good bit different. Here, you help Peach maintain the food after Mario and Luigi toss it out to her. Your goal here is to cook it just right for Yoshi. Well, I mean, he needs to eat well to become big and strong and also produce multiple generations in an hour. Too much raw or burnt food will knock Yoshi down a rank. On the harder settings, food moves all over the place. Luckily, you have also gained the ability to turn around, but Yoshi also lags behind, so keep that in mind. Oh, and let's not forget, fuck, I died again. Well, it seems like another great opportunity, but this time to explain the hearts. Not only can you get stars at every certain interval, you can also get hearts to alleviate your misses. The order's a bit weird though. I know the first one comes at 200 points. The next is at 500 I think though, I don't know. All I know is they exist and they can really save your ass when you're on a long run. The same goes for most, if not all, the classics too. Now, we've got vermin. Oh shit! Animal abuse. Okay, so you're helping a guy kill moles because they keep trying to exist within your vicinity. They keep coming one after another, in one of the 5 columns. There's 2 hammers in play though, 1 space apart. It sort of feels like a rhythm game weirdly enough, but since there's 2 hammers reducing the number of button presses required, you can imagine it gets pretty fast. In Modern, you're helping Yoshi protect their eggs, while Boos, Fly Guys, and Paratroopers attack, each also having their own speeds, and I feel like this has been mentioned before. Regardless, at least the Boos behave how they do normally. But yeah, you're tasked with making sure the unborn children don't get brutally smashed into yolk remains. Holy fuck. Is that their goal? Literally just kill an unborn child, celebrate, and that's it? Okay, well I mean, I guess that's one less Yoshi to worry about. So anyways, the game has been changed to a multi-directional version, now including up and down. It definitely takes some getting used to, but you can manage. The way misses function here is different. Each egg has its own number of hit points. Once it's broken, the Yoshi dies from grief. Overall, not a bad game, but it feels harder for me due to the controls being a bit weird. Now we're moving on to Donkey Kong. Now here's one of the Game & Watches based off another title. Never expect these to be direct translations. Although to be fair, this one is one of the closest to their source. In Donkey Kong, you're helping Game & Watch Mario save humanoid Pauline. This plays a little differently than expected. You can still jump over barrels, but you can only do it when there's an open space above you. On Game B, a girder sometimes blocks it too. Once you reach the second screen, you must flip a switch to activate a crane and jump onto it. Your goal here is to cut the wires holding Donkey Kong up. You know, just cause a little severe brain trauma, that'd do the trick. If you miss, Mario gets the brain trauma instead. Here in modern mode, Mario naturally goes after Peach. Your situation here is the same where you've got to sweep Donkey Kong off his feet. But now, you hang on to objects and can avoid in other ways. The harder the setting, the more shit gets thrown at you. Also, after flipping the switch, not only do you no longer die, you also can recover for a brief period, depending on the level. Yep, level. This is also a multi-level game. You start in this sort of industrial area, move on to a woodland setting, then it's up in the clouds. This one feels great to control. It's very fast-paced with so many ways to score, and it's got itself some variety. Donkey Kong is definitely one of the better ones. Last is Ball. This is that certain unlockable game with certain unlockable themes. First, you unlock Classic, and your goal is to juggle some balls, as the name implies. Oh, and don't let them fall. Game A gives you 2, Game B adds a 3rd. The game is over after 1 mistake. Not bad for a first attempt, seeing as this is the first game after all, but the scoring is weird. In Game A, it's 1 point per successful juggle, so naturally it takes forever to get 1,000 points. But on Game B, it's 10 per juggle. Plus, you get a 3rd source of income, so it's literally the complete opposite side of the spectrum. The damn thing is at 1,000 in like 10 minutes. I guess that's a compromise? Modern Ball is where the themes come into play. Modern mode is also unlocked completely separate from Classic. Here's the thing though, it kinda sucks. Yeah, it plays identical to the original besides the bonus coin catching game thrown in every so often. It's an okay reward. Another thing that really sucks though is that it kinda is a bit worse than the original. Both modes take forever to score for one, but it's also harder to tell where the balls are actually gonna land. That's mostly because on hard the balls go wherever they want. And another thing, this one actually lacks a very hard due to the character versions taking over. But that and an unused Peach version are still remaining in the code, and are semi-playable too. Not like it matters unless you got an action replay. Ball is definitely weaker than the rest, but that's understandable. Plus the variants are an okay attempt at a compromise. Final verdict. Game & Watch Gallery 2. What a great game. It definitely deserves an 8 out of 10. I wanted to maybe give it an 8.5, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. For starters, it's on Game Boy. Kinda limiting hardware to be fair, you know, there's obviously good games, but But also, it's a compilation title of older LCD games. However, if this doesn't scream care was put into this, then I don't know what does. This was a product of good Nintendo. Not release the game over a span of like 3 years or something, Nintendo. So much detail, super clever idea that should definitely be re-explored, and overall something that ultimately did kill some time. And there you have it, my review of Game & Watch Gallery 2 designed for the Nintendo Game Boy Color. Yeah. These games are pretty fucking good, I'm not gonna lie. It really shows how compilation titles don't have to be so limiting. Although most of the time, people will take the easy way out. No shame on Smash Pack, it's just not very good. Now I might look at the other games of the series. Particularly, I only looked at 2 because that's the only one I have, aside from 4, but I don't have a Game Boy player, so until I get one of those, 4 is going to be on hold. Otherwise, yes, a very nicely put together compilation, and I applaud Nintendo for this. I just really wish they would explore the ideas of, you know, making a Game & Watch Gallery 5 in HD, or even just a whole Game & Watch museum or something. We've got the platforms, the games are lost to time, like, nobody plays them anymore. So it'd be sick if you have every single Game & Watch, minus the 2 modern ones, obviously, in one little HD compilation with all the renders and LCD panels put together in a beautiful package. But we have yet to see that, but the Switch is an amazing platform for something like that, so who knows? I mean, it'll be a nice welcome surprise. But yeah, that's about it for me. Now I know I said today was a good day to record outside, but you gotta learn, people lie on the internet. Still a fun game though, not gonna stop me from playing. Hey, yeah, this ended up turning out to be a longer video, but it's kind of fitting because it's been 1 year since I started this series, so there's that. Hope you enjoyed. Leaving your house.
I can't wait to take a shit, man.
You've been holding it in.
My brother, you should put that in the video, bro.
I'm not putting this in the video that you're gonna take a shit.
Put in the video.
Put in the video right now, bro.